So here's our next example with that revenue, cost, and profit. This time we are dealing with skateboards. I tell you that what it sells for, the fixed cost, and then the variable cost. And the variable costs are really long, and it's the entire thing. Now, if we were face-to-face, I wouldn't write anything up on the board. I would give you a second to look at it. So since we're not face-to-face, what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and pause the video and see if you can set these up, the revenue and the cost and the profit, based off what we did on the last one. Really and truly try it. That way you know if you're ready, or if you have questions that you need to email me about. So go ahead and give that a pause. Hopefully you tried it, and we'll go over the answers. So the revenue is going to be the $76, and there were X thousand again. So I'm going to multiply by 1,000X to get me 76,000X. So I'll just rewrite it as a nice equation there. So my revenue is that equation. Now I'm going to do the cost. Remember, the cost are the fixed cost plus the variable cost. So my fixed costs are $755,000 plus the entire equation that I have written out. The entire thing is the variable cost. This one's a little bit trickier of that polynomial, more like the first ones we did. I'm going to combine my like terms. I don't have that many. And it doesn't matter the order that you put it in. A lot of people like to put the highest exponent first. You don't have to. You can put them in whatever order you want them, as long as you have all of these numbers together. And I combined those like terms, the 755,000 minus 520 there to get that last term. And then finally we have, I'm going to call that C there for the cost. And then finally we have the profit. The profit is the revenue minus the cost. So my profit is 76,000X minus, and remember I've got to put that entire cost in parentheses. It's important that we use those parentheses so we can distribute the negative and change the signs of everything inside there. I haven't done anything to the first 7600X. Now I can combine my like terms. So I've got 7600X and a negative 4,320. We're kind of out of room, so I'm going to write it down below. And again, it doesn't matter the order. I'm going to put the highest exponent first, but you can put it in whatever order you want to. Remember, I'm going to combine those like terms for my x's and everything else. Oop, that number looks like an 8 and it should be a 5. Sorry about that. And that should give me 754,480. So that would be my final profit. So it goes up there for that answer. If you're having trouble with these, feel free to shoot me an email. Happy to explain them. Last example in 1.2, we've got this bar graph, and we're just going to read off the bar graph. So we're supposed, for A here, it says use the bar graph to determine the net earnings in 2012. So 2012 is that bar right there. And I've got it written up here at the top for us, so it's easy to see. Units are super, super important. So I'm going to say that that's in $1 million, and I got that right there. They're in my units. I'm just going to include those down below. So this first part said use the bar graph, so that's what I did. The second one's going to say use the polynomial. Remember, the polynomial is that equation with the x's in it. So it's right here. So I'm going to use the polynomial down below for 2012. Now we're going to see this come up over and over and over again, but we don't want to just plug in 2012. We're going to plug in according to our directions. And let me kind of free up a little space up here to look at our directions. They are right here. X equals 7 corresponds to 2007. So if x equals 7 is 2007, I really need to know what x equals 0 is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 7 for both of these. So that means that x equals 0 is the year 2000. Now you don't have to show that step. If you can just think about that in your head, that's fine too. But we might get to some that are a little bit trickier. We always need to know what x equals 0 is. That's our starting year. I gave us the year 7. So to get 7 to turn into 0, I just subtract 7. And so I subtracted 7 from the other side as well. So that means the year 0 is 2000. The year 7 is 2007. And so what I'm going to be plugging in is 12. 12 is going to represent 2012. And you're going to see we're not going to be plugging in that whole year into this section or other sections either. We're going to be using that modified year that I was just working on. So I'm just plugging 12 in. Everywhere I see an x up here in that polynomial that we were given. I'm going to type that in my calculator, and it does ask me to round to the nearest whole number. That means no decimals. So that's going to be 1,405, and my units again are $1 million. Now these two answers are not the same. That's because this polynomial is an estimate of what's going on, and the graph shows me what's really going on. So they both are talking about 2012. That polynomial is always going to give me an estimate, and the bar graph is going to give me that exact data there. Hopefully, you feel okay with 1.2. If you don't, though, feel free to email me and stop in, maybe set up some office hours or anything like that.